Greetings, it's Jay Warsinske, founder of INDIEPOWER. Thank you so much for joining us at this virtual music conference. We're very excited about giving you guys knowledge today that hopefully will build your business and build you towards your dream. More importantly, it's breaking down, the part of building your ultimate team really comes down to two major areas. You have your creative area and you have your business area. Both of these need to seamlessly work together to form a really strong team. Just like two sides of any coin, it's really the balance that makes them the whole. So again, what we're going to do is now break down the components, the areas of the creative and business team, really what it requires. Now initially you might be just a few members, you might be wearing a lot of hats, you might be several of these key positions yourself. But ultimately you're going to have individuals that excel at these areas in each position to really create a larger and larger team. So initially on the creative side, again, you have the areas of songwriting, which is of course your content, along with production, which forms your sellable content, and your mixer, your mastering, your graphics, and your video area. These are your more or less key components of the creative side of your ultimate team. So again, breaking that down into more depth would be songwriting. Within your organization, your band, you may be a solo artist with collaborators, but excelling at the area of songwriting is the most important foundational creative part. Doesn't matter how great your mixing is, your playing is, your production is, your graphics. If the songs aren't memorable, the songs don't move the audience. Again, all of this is on top of something that's less of a foundation. So you can't take your songwriting enough. It's really the key of all of this. So you both want to excel as a songwriter yourself and in a tandem with your co-writers, whether they be part of your band or outside co-writes, as we've seen time and time again. A band, say for instance Aerosmith, they finally came back with their big comeback album, and Done with Mirrors didn't go anywhere. This is after years of trying to get Steven Tyler and Joe Perry back together. But then Desmond Child and Diane Warren and some of these other writers collaborated, and of course the hits became bigger than the first phase of Aerosmith. So again, it's not always within your band or your camp, but sometimes outside songwriters that can spark some of your greatest songs ever. So these are the songwriting important areas. Also in production, of course, whether you are self-producing your music or using an outside producer, fact of the matter is you need stellar production, the best you can possibly get. So if you're a newbie, somebody's developing their production skills, you may want to again employ someone that's very skilled at this. These days there's very competitive rates out there. There's a lot of big producers that used to work with major labels that are no longer on that meal ticket. So shop around. There's absolutely legendary producers that are available for more and more reasonable costs. And then you can be basically that protege. If you're the fly on the wall during the whole process, ask a few questions, get to know the engineer involved, you might be able to glean a lot more information from studying that producer in process than actually even going to a engineering school or anything like that. Because again, you can learn how to twist knobs, but to learn how to get great sound, is above and beyond that. Some of these producers have 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the game, and that's who you want to be mentored by. So again, you need to excel at songwriting, you need to excel at production, whether this is all in-house or you're involving third parties. And mixing. Mixing is a very high technical craft. There's some mixers in this industry that get paid a lot of money and they work every day that they want to work because they're extremely good at mixing something that sounds good on the radio or that's got a great sound. It's probably one of the more key areas technically, which will make your music more presentable to media, maybe even stronger in the film and TV world. Is having that right mix that really brings out your qualities, your vocals, your music, your songwriting and production techniques. And again, mastering. Mastering is really I'd say it's a mysterious area to a lot. A lot of people don't really know it mastering is, because again, it's not mixing. They're not going to completely change the sound of your music, but they are going to give you that gloss over the top, that little sheen that can make that, again, stand out, whether it be to radio, television, movies, or just that overall sonic sound. So again, these are technical areas where you yourself, with tutorials and learning, you can master yourself, you can mix yourself, you can record yourself, you can write your songs yourself. But again, the whole idea in building a team is to now enhance what you can do into a better end product. Even if you're getting a smaller percentage of something bigger, it could be better in the long run, and you could eventually become your own producer, your own mixer. You still may want to have that guy come in and master or things like that. But again, you don't want to wear too many hats in a lot of these key creative areas too early. These are not only areas you can learn from the pros, but again, they may have an overall effect in the sellability and the attractiveness, of your finished product. And again, from there, it comes down to your imaging. This includes your graphics, which could be everything from your logo. We know the iconic logos, whether it be, Kiss or Queen or Van Halen, or any one of these symbols that were just iconic and to this day are larger than life. Most of these bands don't even put pictures of themselves on the cover, because that logo alone is way bigger than any picture. And look at the Metallica logo. It was probably drawn, they may have paid the guy a few dollars for that in the early 80s when they started, but they use that same logo today, and they're generating millions of dollars from that merchandising. So your graphics are everything from your logo to the graphic design of your cover, which used to be a big gatefold album, and it's down to a CD, and now it's down to a little thumbnail on iTunes. But again, even if it is primarily digital distribution, that image is going to be blown up to posters, could be blown up to billboards, could be blown up to very, very large movie screens. So you want to have strong graphics. It's what defines you. Your music, your attitude, your imaging is what's going to define you. We could mention a name, a Snoop Dogg or a Blink-182 or whoever, and you're going to immediately have a mental picture of that band, their logo, what they're all about, their attitude, and their personality. And that's really what we fall in love with. The songs are what keeps us coming back time and time again. We've heard of one-hit wonders, and sometimes we love songs more than we do those artists. But for those artists that we all strive to be, they've got a catalog. And between the image, the sound, and their attitude is what defines them. And beyond that, now these days, video is more important than ever. Video is that new radio. Video is that calling card, which you could record a song today and be up on YouTube and the video channels tonight. It's that instantaneous and more important than almost anything these days. Of course, it's going to come down to a song. Psy didn't get 2 billion hits because of just a great song. The video, the dance, we're not all dance-oriented artists, but there are hooks. And whether the hook be the song, the vocal hook, the chorus, it could be your image, it could be the dance, it could be the backdrop, it could be, okay, go on some stair climbers. Whatever that is, that could be what really gets people talking about your video, your song, your band, and more importantly, your product. So whether they end up buying your CD, your download, your concert ticket, and hopefully your t-shirt, that is what starts the process. So your video is vital these days. Now, yes, with a camcorder, you can go out and shoot your own video. You can probably ask around. There's a bunch of people that are studying film, or they just really good at shooting video or editing video. But with billions of videos on YouTube, you don't want to just be another one of those. So again, in your production value, just like audio, you really want to raise your game and produce the most impactful, talked about, just phenomenal videos. And it's not about spending a whole lot of money. It's about getting creative. And whether it be your sets or your backdrop, or again, what you're doing in the video, or who's in there. You may have actors, you may have models, you may have dancers. It may just be the band performing live, which is, again, a very, very important part of the team. That video of a live performance could be that one that opens up booking agents, opens up overseas, or concert promoters that are outside your region. That's what they want to see, is what do these guys look like live, or what does that artist look like when they perform. This is going to be very important. So again, the creative members of your team are the songwriters, the producer, the mixer, the master, the graphic designer, and the video maker. These are more or less your foundation of your creative team. And again, that could be all in one person, and it's been done. But again, what you really want to do is not skimp, not cut corners or trying to find a shortcut, but really grow each and one of these areas to their ultimate. So you might have several producers. You might have a number of mixers you use. You might have a whole team of videographers that you use, different people for different things. Or this guy shoots it, this guy edits it, and this guy does the special effects. He does the green screen or the animation or things like that. So again, it's not about the number of people on your team, but truly the effectiveness and the execution of your end product. Again, you may be in business for yourself, but you don't have to be in business by yourself. So it's very, very important to reach out. You don't have to automatically, sign somebody up because you just met them and you're talking about photography or you're talking about them mixing your record. Kick the tires. Listen to what they've done. See some of their work. Get an idea. Talk about, the budget range and what your goals are and what your ideas are. Even if you have to sign a non-disclosure, a confidentiality statement. You might have some really, really unique ideas you're doing, and you're a little nervous about talking to a lot of video people. There's some real simple forms you can use. So again, it protects your ideas, and more importantly, they remain with you in case you're using somebody else. And again, another analogy in building a team is look at sports. I don't care if it's the Super Bowl, the NBA championship, the World Series, whatever it is, that is a team. And there are coaches, there are owners, there are trainers, there are players, there's marketing teams. There's so much on that team. And it's not just about the players. The players are obviously the front men. They're the people out there making it happen. But without good coaches and owners and trainers and marketing people, again, that dynasty, that success story may not be quite as sweet or so impactful. Or again, you might be doing this business with or without a manager. And we're going to be talking about that. A little bit of the pros and cons about signing with a up-and-coming manager or managing yourself till it's the point where you might show or be able to create interest with a mega or established manager. Same thing with a label or publisher. But again, these days you can be your own label, you can be your own publisher, you can get an administration deal on your songs through a publishing company and not have to just sign your rights away. So that is the creative side, and now we're going to get into the business side. Building your ultimate team from the business side is the most important thing. You can be the most creative team, have the greatest songs, the best mixes, outrageous videos, but if they don't get seen, they don't get heard, the cash register may not ring. This is really where the rubber meets the road, and the seamless area of creation and business really come together to knock it out of the park. This is your home run, your grand slam, your touchdown catch right here. Again, the major members of your business team are marketing, distribution, your distributor, your legal team, which is a lawyer or a team, your licensing person, which can include your endorsements, your sponsorships, and of course your booking agent, the person that is setting up your live performances and appearances, and of course that agent. He could be within an agency, he could be a solo person. And again, these days, in certain states, you have to be careful. State of California, you have to be a licensed and bonded agent. So you need to look into just having somebody book for the sake of booking. Now initially, you've all probably booked your own shows, or somebody on your team calls up to clubs and books. We're not talking so much about that, but we're trying to raise your game to the level now you're doing more substantial shows where there's thousands of dollars involved, and there's an expectation of selling tickets, selling merchandise, and hopefully having repeat engagements. And that is a very, very important thing to building your success. So again, let's break that down. Your marketing director or marketing team, whatever that is, the marketing of your music is probably the most important thing. Again, it's where the rubber meets the road, where you're going to get traction and actually get, whether it be radio airplay or video play or blogs talking about you or magazine writers doing features on you, or no matter what that is. It could be an advertisement, which is now sending a lot of traffic to your site, which is now creating more interest in your shows, your product, or what you have to offer. So marketing is, again, a wide-ranging term. It can include everything from promotion, publicity, advertising. All that is the marketing of your music or art. Again, your distribution, your distributor is very, very key. Now, these days in the world of rising digital distribution, a lot of people think that just simply getting on iTunes is enough. And to some, that is fine. Maybe that is their market. But if you look at any of the really successful artists out there, it's a combination of physical and digital goods. And physical is still CDs, DVDs, vinyl. I'm sure there's somebody still making and selling cassettes. But these are your physical formats. Your digital formats is obviously primarily your downloads, but these days you've got ringtones, ringbacks. There's all sorts of new technology coming. But again, it all starts with a small piece or the full of your work, which could be your song, your EP or album, however long it is. So that is your distribution. In an ideal world, you want physical, digital, and mobile distribution. So whether somebody is obtaining your music from their cell phone, they're going into a store, whether it be Best Buy or their favorite independent store, or they're going to the iTunes or Rhapsodies or eMusics or Amazon.coms of the world. They're looking for your music. If it's extremely hard to find, it's going to be harder and harder to sell to everybody. And one of our mottos is give the people what they want, how they want it. So again, if you've got a growing demand for vinyl, vinyl is going to cost you more money to produce. But again, these days people pay a premium for vinyl because it is a specialty item. You're seeing people paying $20, $22, $25 for a piece of vinyl they really want. So again, even if it costs you $2 or $3 to manufacture, depending on the quantity, this may be, again, not only something that builds your fan base deep, because the vinyl lovers really love their format, but also, again, another way that you're not turning down business. You're giving your fans what they want, and maybe even opening up to new fans. Maybe they're a vinyl collector and they only found out about you because they found your piece of vinyl in their favorite vinyl store. So again, these are very, very important areas of distribution. Again, being on iTunes is not the goal. Selling off of iTunes is the goal. So again, it's never been easier to get up on one of these little services and become available, but guess what? You're there with over 1 billion other songs and artists. So again, your marketing is what's going to really help make you stand out and help you sell units, create commerce. Because again, spending a lot of money and none of it coming back is going to get old, and at some point going to stop. So again, to get that wheel turning, not only is your creative team in place, but your business team needs to excel. So after marketing and distribution, the next area is legal. And again, this may be something you get on board early because your lawyer, and again, these days there's a lot of information online. You can really get a great idea of, you know, what a record contract is, what a distribution agreement is, what is a publishing deal, what are song split sheets, you know, if you're co-writing, what are these licensing agreements if somebody wants to use your song in a movie or TV or compilation or things like that. So the better you are prepared going into that meeting, if you're just meeting your attorney and engaging them in services, the better you are. Number one, you're going to be very proactive in being able to ask the kind of questions you need to really get the most out of it. And again, they're by the hour, so you want the least amount of time and the most amount of impact. You know, ideally, you're going to tell them what you want, maybe break it down how you see it. They might give you a little advice, and then they're going to draw up the contracts you need, or in the case you've been presented a contract from someone, they're going to look that over and advise you based on what you've told them, how you want to operate and what you're looking for in the deal. Again, the more leverage you build in the business, the more negotiating power you're going to have with this opposite side, because again, they're going to have their attorneys and everybody's trying to strike the best deal. So, you know, once that deal is made, you know, everybody wants to feel that they've gotten a fair deal out of that. So again, your lawyer, your legal team, very, very important part of your team. Again, a lot of people say, when do I need a manager? Well, you can self-manage in a lot of cases, or find companies or experts to provide a lot of services the manager would do. Because remember, the manager is not the investor, the manager is not the agent, the manager is not the label. So if you expect someone to actually fund you or do all the work, that's not what a manager's role is. Again, your legal team is there to help protect and make sure you're making strong agreements and moving forward. From that, your licensing person, whether that be in a licensing company or a licensing executive, a person that freelances. These are the people that go out there and find film and TV placements for you. Maybe there's someone to go out and find endorsements for you, whether it be in musical gear or with companies that might find a win-win by reaching your audience, whether it be through your website, through your live shows, or through your social media. These are the people that are going to go find those deals, and these can include sponsors. Again, when you're going seeking sponsors or endorsements, a lot of people think, well, I'm looking for a check. Well, the bottom line is the other company on the other side is getting probably a lot of requests, and what they're looking for is, what is my bang for the buck? What is this person or company offering me in exchange for what they're asking for? So again, their whole idea is not to just write checks to have their logo on a bunch of bands or drum heads or something no one sees. Their idea is, again, exposure and impact. So whether you're trying to get a musical endorsement or whether you're trying to find a company to sponsor you, again, what you've got to really figure out is, what are you offering them? And then what is it that you're asking for that? And is that worth it? Is it balanced? Because they're going to know if it's worth it for them. And you may have to gauge your response. But that licensing person could be very important, because if you don't have a big time manager, you're doing this without a record label, sometimes some of those licensing deals, sometimes a commercial or a sponsorship or endorsement can give you some of that seed money to get your band on the road, or get your music recorded, or make that bigger video that's going to impact that audience even further. And beyond that, again, your agent. Your agent is important. And ultimately, you want to be with a big time booking agency or agent that has clout with all the major concert promoters and the venues out there. These are the people that will know how to grow your brand. You know, I don't care how big they are, whether it be Eminem or Rihanna or Jay-Z. They all started somewhere, and their agent was probably a very important person in there who always made sure that they were playing the right types of shows, or the right venues, with the right promoters, and more importantly, got paid what was agreed to. So these are very, very important members of your team. So to reiterate, again, on the business side, you have your marketing person or director or team, you have your distributor or distribution company, you have your legal team or lawyer, you have your licensing person, and you have your booking agent. These are very, very key. Again, it all starts with great music or film or content, whatever it is you're selling. But the business side has to excel, like the creative side, to form that nucleus of a very, very powerful entity. So again, these days with online marketing and social media, all these key areas, this is very, very important to have a seamless bridge. Your creative team and your business team have to be in sync together. You can't have a creative team that doesn't get along with the business team, and the business team doesn't understand what these creative guys are all about. The synergy of these two halves is your left and your right brain. They form the powerhouse that is going to be your career. So again, we're here for you. We've got a lot of great information for you. We're really pleased you could be with us today. And I'm going to turn the camera and floor over to my partner, a member of many legendary groups over the years, a musician who's now turned his career towards the new media and social media of this world, so he combines the creative and business side in a way that no one has before. And again, you know him from some of his incredible work with PINK FLOYD, SUPERTRAMP, and incredible companies like 7th Level. We're turning the floor over to the incredible Scott Page.
Hey, thanks, Jay, for inviting me to be part of this. I'm very happy to be here with all of you today. And yes, the team is a very critical part. I mean, I've been involved in building businesses for quite a few years, and I can tell you this, with the right team, it all happens. With the wrong team, it doesn't happen. And there's no difference between what you're doing as an independent artist, trying to grow your band and your fan base and make a living at your business. It is a business. What you're doing is a business. It needs to be treated like a business. And that means you, as the artist, need to get hip to the business, or you got to at least make sure you have somebody in place that you trust that understands the business, that will help you with your career and help you get grow this thing. For many, oh shit. Hold on, I fell apart here for a second. I'm trying to think.
Problem. Take your time.
Yeah, let me think for a second here. I want to get the right.
Yeah. You want to make some notes or anything?
Yeah, I've got a few notes. I just want to think of the flow.
I'm gonna put a little.
Let me see. Where's your list? I want to see your thing one more time. Because I want to talk about knowing your niche is really key. Because putting team members in place that don't know the niche, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. You're not trying to, segregate yourself to a little box, but you have to think is who your audience is, and what members of your team can enhance reaching that audience.
Yeah.
And creating that story. What is your story? What is your niche? Your team is going to help define that.
Yeah. And you want to find members of the team that, again, understand your space. Just getting a manager, there might be a great manager that might have been great for this space, but he doesn't really understand this space. So
now that's the one area I didn't really go into much with managers, but my feeling and what I talk about usually is don't be real quick to have your homeboy or your brother manage you unless they have a clear understanding that they're going to be replaced at some point.
Yeah.
Because they might ask you to sign a contract, and then Joe Big, shows up, and all of a sudden, homeboy's got a problem. He said, "No, I'm the man." You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. So it's getting all that business legally stuff and all that stuff up front early on is a much better time to be dealing with that stuff.
Yeah. So you may want to manage yourselves or have people on your team or companies around you that serve a lot of those management functions. Because like I did say, a manager is not the investor, it's not the label, and he's not your agent.
You went through all that. That was good.
So, a lot of people wondering about that. Do I need a manager? When do I get a manager? Well, your manager ultimately could be a really important part of the team, but the wrong manager could do more damage
and more harm. Yeah, you got to be really careful. Yeah. I mean, that's why
momager and all that.
You want to be educated. I mean, that's really a part that a lot of artists have to go to school a little bit right now.
Right.
That's different than it was in the old days. Okay. All right. Hey everybody, Scott Page here. Thank you very much, Jay, for having me part of this. First of all, Jay did a great job, man. I think he nailed it out of the park. Anyway, I just want to reiterate a few of the things that he talked about and a few other little spins on what he was talking about. Building a team is probably one of the most important things you can do as an artist. And when you build that team, you want to make sure that the people that you're putting in place can have the synergy and be able to work together. They understand what you do as an artist. They understand the niche, what you're about. First thing I do, what I recommend to most bands when they're getting started, is the first thing they do is they look inside their organization. In other words, the band members themselves understand the skill sets. I think this is really something that most artists don't really take the time to go through. They don't take the time to really study what business is about. So as an artist, my recommendation is you should start studying how business is structured, how it works, and how the legal and all that stuff comes together. Because without that, you can be in big, big trouble later on down the line. One of the things that seems to happen is getting a band agreement, getting agreements early in the game. Because what happens, everybody's happy in the beginning, and then as the thing goes on, some problems start to happen, and then all of a sudden the wars start to come down, and there's no clear definition of what everybody's expected, what they're supposed to get. So part of when you're building your team, you want to also at the same time make sure that you're putting all your agreements and stuff in place with this team. Jay mentioned lawyers. Lawyers are critical in this game, especially in this world, because one word or a few words wrong in that document can change the entire meaning of the document, and you could end up getting, screwed, so to speak. So really clear that you spend the time to learn about business now, because this is a business. It's called music business, and it's called business for a reason. It's not just music fun, it's a business. And if you're really serious about your art and who you are as an artist, and you want to get out into the world and really grow your business, you need to have the right team. I can tell you that, you know, it was really funny with different bands. When I was playing with SUPERTRAMP back in the old days, I was really amazed to see that how each individual member of that band kind of filled a different void, not a different void, but a different piece of the pie. And it was important because one guy was really good at talking to the press. Another guy was really great with dealing with any of the promoter and, you know, issues and stuff with the venues. And so it was really about dividing up the chores amongst the band. So rule number one that I tell you is, what are the skill sets inside your band? Do you have a guy that can be the technology guy? In other words, does he have the chops to deal with all the computers? Do you have a marketing sort of guy? Somebody that can handle your Facebook, your Twitter feeds, dealing with your site, those types of things. Do you have somebody that's managing your list, the list that you're going to be picking up from all your gigs? I recommend that every time you play a club, if that's where you are at the stage of your existence, that somebody's passing around that clipboard and you're picking up that list so that you can start building those relationships with the fans. Today, I'm still completely amazed on how many artists do not take the time to put together a list. They say, yeah, I got to have kind of an email list. I got these Twitter followers. I got these Facebook followers. But the problem is they don't really know how to take and monetize that fan base because they don't have the right relationship. Because Twitter and Facebook, those are nice and they're great and I love them and they're very important. But there's a different relationship that happens through an email thing, because it's an opt-in deal. They basically gave you the permission to be able to contact them. So how do I communicate with my art, with the fans? So in your organization, you want to make sure you have somebody that can really communicate your story. And that gets to the next part. The story is critical. People want to know who you are, what you're about. So when you're tweeting out, you're talking about stuff, talk about the things. It's not just mundane things. It's really telling your story. Because once they start feeling that relationship between you and them, they start looking at it, that's the part that's important to them. They want to follow and feel the relationship of what you're about, the types of stories you tell. Now, one of the other things Jay was talking about was the graphics or the design person. That I've seen in so many bands has been really critical, because most people, before they even hear your records at time, will look at the graphics, will look at the imagery, and that imagery tells a story. Perfect example is, you know, I've had the pleasure of playing with Pink Floyd for a bunch of years there, actually through the 80s and into the early 90s, that the Storm Thorgerson from Hypnosis was when they created all those album covers for Floyd and all the graphics. You never really see the artist so much. There was a couple early days, but later on it was all about the imagery. And today that imagery tells a story. So making sure part of your team is somebody that can really help design the image for you. And that means, you know, because sometimes maybe you're not really the greatest looking guy and you're not really that teen heartthrob, but you got killer music. That graphics artist person can come in and actually build an image around you that may have nothing to do with how old you are, what you are, because all those things have to be taken into consideration, but they will help brand and build your image, because that image becomes a big part of your story. So as a team member, that's one of the areas you really want to make sure you don't skimp on, is get somebody that can really help you do that. It'll be very helpful as you move forward. One of the other things is really know your niche. Knowing your niche is critical, because, and what do I mean by that? Because there's a lot of people that are, you know, they're tweeting out stuff and they're going to their areas, but they don't really know the customer really closely that they're going after. They may say, I'm trying to go after all the different fans or the customers in this base. As a businessman, these people are actually customers, because they're hopefully going to buy your music, come see your shows, you know, buy your merch and all of that. So basically, really knowing your niche, knowing exactly what your customers are looking for, or your fans are looking for in this case, is really critical, so that you create the content, you create the stuff, the imagery and all that would really focus on that particular market that you're going after. That's another area where management or somebody can come in and really start to help you and mold that. So if you don't have those skills inside your organization, inside your band or your organization, then you want to make sure you look for those types of team members that can help you put that piece together. So many artists I know today, just really try to do it all themselves, which is fine if you can do it, but very few guys do it all themselves. If you look at all of the successful guys out there, mainly the major ones that are out there, there's an entire team around them, and they're building and strategizing and putting together a whole idea of how to present themselves as an artist, because that's part of the mystique, who you're about, when to release, how often, all those things that become important. Having that team together that can figure out exactly how to do that, I think, is a really critical thing. Let's see, what else did I have here? I had, one of the great things to do when you're looking for people to be part of your team is look for those people that can influence the influencers, I call it. Those people can be really important, because if you have a team member that can come into the thing, influence somebody else to actually bring them on to help grow your business, that's a very powerful thing, because you'll be amazed what happens when you put the right team members together, how the doors start to fly open. So really look to try to influence the influencers that will actually be able to help bring the traffic and bring the people to you that you need in order to grow your business. So overall, I think that's pretty much all I have to say today about this. I think Jay did a great job, and us over at INDIEPOWER here are really glad that we have this opportunity to talk to you. And good luck in your venture. Take care. See you. Bye.